Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something that is deeply relatable, highly confusing, and honestly, incredibly frustrating. We are talking about the agonizing dance of hot and cold behavior in relationships. I mean, we've all been there, right? Or at least we know someone who has. It's that moody, anxiety-inducing dynamic where someone pulls you close one day, literally out of nowhere, and then just pushes you away the next. You're left sitting there trying to decode text messages, analyzing silences, and just trying to read between the lines of every single interaction. But, as we're going to see today, pulling from some recent relationship psychology research, those mixed signals, they're almost never an accident. So let's unpack exactly what's happening behind the scenes. We absolutely have to start here with that heavy, uneasy question that instantly pops into your head the second the dynamic shifts. You know the feeling. You're staring at your phone, you're replaying your last conversation, over-analyzing every single word you said, just agonizing, wondering what did I do wrong to make them pull away. It's a really emotional, internal struggle. You're just waiting for a text with that pit in your stomach. But here's the thing, and research reveals a truly liberating truth here. Mixed signals are rarely about you at all. Actually, scratch that. They're almost never about you. They're a specific psychological pattern with a very specific purpose. You didn't break the connection, you just got caught up in their cycle. Section 1. 3 reasons for inconsistency and the psychological breakdown behind it. Okay, so let's dive into this. To move from all that emotional confusion to some actual clinical clarity, we gotta ask, what is actually driving this behavior? Well, psychologists point to a few objective reasons. The first is, frankly, the most common one in modern dating. They're keeping their options open. Sometimes that intense burst of warmth and attention you're getting, it isn't a sign of some deep, blooming connection. It's simply maintenance. They're being warm and attentive with you, and then immediately checking their phone to be warm and attentive with somebody else. They're basically keeping multiple options and conversations active just to see where things go, without fully committing to any single path. And that brings us to a really hard-hitting truth from Psychology Today. Warmth costs them nothing, and commitment costs everything. Just let that sink in for a second. Sending a nice text or giving you a quick compliment, it requires absolutely zero actual investment. It's a completely free way to keep you on the hook. This is a huge aha moment for us. It teaches us that we have to measure a partner's intent, not by their little fleeting moments of warmth, but by their willingness to actually commit to consistency.
Moving on to Section 2, Power Move or Conflict. Let's understand the intent.
Now, what's really interesting is what happens when we move past casual dating. What if the connection feels way deeper, but the behavior is still wildly inconsistent? We need to look at 2 dramatically different psychological states. On one side, we have malicious manipulation, the power move. On the other side, we have unresolved fear, the internal conflict. And here's the tricky part. The hot and cold behavior looks exactly the same to you on the outside, but the mental mechanics driving it, they are completely opposed. So let's break down each side. First up, the power move. According to relationship psychology research from the APA, pulling back right after making someone feel secure is often a highly calculated tactic. By purposely creating uncertainty, they completely knock you off balance. Suddenly, your sense of stability is shaken, just enough to make you try harder. You start chasing their approval, desperately trying to win back that warmth. And what does that do? It effectively keeps them in the position of power. It's a dark psychological tactic designed entirely to keep the upper hand in the dynamic. But then, on the flip side, we have internal conflict. This is driven by attachment psychology. In this case, the warmth they show you is entirely genuine. They really, truly do want closeness. But the exact moment they get it, boom, an unresolved fear of intimacy is triggered, and their withdrawal is also incredibly genuine. They're deeply torn. However, and this is an absolutely crucial point, while this person isn't manipulating you, it is still not your job to fix their internal conflict. Understanding their fear doesn't mean you have to sacrifice your own peace to accommodate it. Section 3, the pattern matters most. Let's look at the actual cost of this cycle. So we've explored the why behind the behavior, but honestly, understanding their psychology is only half the battle. We have to focus on the what. Think about how this chaotic timeline actually plays out over time. Day 1, you get that warmth. You feel amazing. Day 3, utter silence. Crickets. By day 5, your anxiety is peaking, you're obsessively checking your phone. Day 6, they finally text, and you feel this massive wave of relief. And then, week 2 rolls around and the entire thing repeats. Guys, this isn't a relationship progressing. This is a roller coaster trapped on a loop. It just repeats over weeks and months with absolutely zero growth. And that brings us to a really stark reality. The intention behind the mixed signals, it actually matters way less than the pattern itself. If the inconsistency never changes, the psychological reason behind it simply stops mattering. Whether they're a master manipulator or just a terrified commitment phobe, the result for you is exactly the same: complete instability. You just cannot build a foundation on a chaotic pattern.
I really want you to take a second to absorb this powerful insight. Living inside someone else's inconsistency will eventually cost you your own consistency. The mental health cost of this dynamic is so severe. When your mood rises and falls with every single message, when your sense of self shrinks with every stretch of silence, you're paying a price that is way too high. You literally end up losing your own baseline of peace just trying to navigate theirs.
All right, section 4, taking back your peace and setting boundaries. So, how do we finally step off this roller coaster? Well, here is your step-by-step guide to setting boundaries. Step 1, stop reacting to the highs and lows. Your emotional reaction is literally the fuel for this cycle. You've got to cut the fuel. Step 2, match the energy you are actually given. And do this without being aggressive. If they take 3 days to reply, you do not need to fire back a demanding multi-paragraph text. That just gives them the power. Instead, match their brevity. A simple "sounds good" or a thumbs up sent when you finally have some free time, that's all it takes. And step 3, stop responding to individual texts and start responding to the pattern as a whole. Your external response needs to be entirely neutral, because true peace, it comes from observing objectively instead of reacting emotionally. You're neither chasing them for validation, nor are you punishing them out of spite. You are simply removing yourself from the game. To maintain your calm during these hot and cold cycles, try using this simple mental phrase: I am observing this, not absorbing this. Just by observing instead of absorbing, you completely strip away the power of their inconsistency.
I want to leave you with this final provocative thought today. You deserve consistency, not a guessing game. Your peace should never, ever be borrowed from someone else's mood. Now that you can decode exactly what's happening when you receive mixed signals, you have the power to stop trying to solve the puzzle and simply walk away from the table. Seriously, why keep playing a game that was designed to keep you off balance? Think about that. Protect your peace, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.